Tremendous. Welcome, everybody. Basketball rules expert live. We are here. It's a Wednesday morning here in the beautiful San Francisco Bay Area. A little bit rainy in the last few days. Very odd. But the season is changing. Glad everybody could join us today. A little bit late on the start. My apologies. I just wanted to run through some things on the show to make sure that our technology was strong and we'd have a good show for you. So, Clyde Wheeler jumping in from Sacramento. Hey, Clyde, good to see you. Nate Luther in the house. And of course, Billy Mack from that small little corner of Connecticut. All right. Vaccinated officials will not have a mask requirement. Motivation. Nate joining from Western PA. Good morning to you. I had that one episode where I was not super excited. At least I didn't express it. The Zooch in the house from the Show Me State. Let's see if Missouri dominates as usual. Ray Allen, okay, I'll be on it. I will do my best. I may be on the road like last time, but awesome. Mike Connors, greetings to you. Hope everybody has a cup. Fantastic. Randy Wilson jumping in from Chicago. Good to see you, Randy. Where is Les O'Connor? We need our Chicago contingent to be strong. Chris Denton, excellent. Good to see you, Chris, from Goldsboro, North Carolina. And Billy Mack, greeting all of the officiating forum. Quorum. Hey, Vic Horton's in the house. Good to see you, Vic. Awesome. Yeah. Okay. Now, how am I going to handle this? Okay. I need to have some skills, and I think I have them. Okay. Let's do the rundown. Let's get the show started. So, could be a brief show today. I've got plenty on the agenda. I want to knock out some more rules questions, get those answered, talk about a couple of scenarios on Facebook, do that as well. So let's get the show started with the show rundown. Of course, our live schedule every Wednesday, basketball rules expert. We talk through play scenarios, National Federation of High School Basketball rules so that we can properly adjudicate plays on the court where it's most important. Of course, it is the time of season. I got to take these off. It is the time. I got a delay there. It's killing me. This is the time of season where we are test taking. It's always good to be test taking, but like we say, and we'll talk about in a little bit, is the ultimate test is on the court. That's where it really counts. It's great if we can get a 96 on the test. Perfect. I'm a rules expert. We get out on the court. We don't adjudicate a play properly, and then we're less of an expert. But every Friday, we're looking at plays. We're looking at game video, analyzing game video, getting better as basketball officials, looking at all the things, the positioning of the crew, working the system, correct adjudication, all the things. And we do that every Friday for 5 Play Friday Live. We have occasional master classes as well, and additional video content will be coming soon with guests, etc. If you are new to the show, jump in the chat, put new in the chat. Let me know where you are officiating from. Put your voice in the game. If you're new to me, my name is Greg Austin with thebetterofficial.com, and I've been officiating for a while. Know a little bit about the rules. We got a fantastic community here in the chat with all levels of experience and rules knowledge. So There's a lot to be learned there. And of course, anytime you anytime you have a comment, put it in the chat, put your voice in the game, have an opinion about a rules adjudication, a point that would add value to the conversation. Put your voice in the game, join the conversation so we can all get better together. All right, tremendous. All right, Chris Lake is in the house from Ann Arbor. Good to see you. Who is officiating roller derby? Sometimes you see a sport and it's like, well, obviously roller derby is a little bit different, but you see a sport, a random sport, and you wonder, I wonder if they have officials for that. RefQuest. I need to learn more about this RefQuest thing. Charles joining us from Southern Maine. Awesome. Good to see you, Charles. Okay, I'm going to jump into the show. Let me go here. Yeah. Hey, we're here to learn how to adjudicate plays properly. Let's get started. Greetings and welcome back to the Basketball Rules Expert, the show where we take National Federation of High School Basketball rules and we lift them off the printed page, breathe life into them, simplify, clarify, amplify, so that we can take the rules with us onto the basketball court where it is most important. Greetings again, everybody. My name is Greg Austin with abetterofficial.com, and I've been a high school basketball official here in the San Francisco Bay Area for over a decade. I consider myself to be very knowledgeable about the rules of high school basketball, and this show is all about helping you on a journey to becoming a basketball rules expert as well. Allow me to thank our fantastic channel supporters, Les O'Connor Jr., Tony Dye, Amílcar Garcia, Gerald Masucci, and Phil Haddad. Much appreciated and much love. You want to support the show? You can always head to abetterofficial.com/coffee. There'll be a link above and in the show notes below. Tremendous. All right, today we are going to continue our look at test questions, the fundamentals that support those test questions, and the rules that we need to know so we can take so we can take our rules knowledge onto the court and adjudicate plays properly. Hey. Yeah. I like it. Okay, so before we get started with rules questions, let's take a look at a couple of scenarios from a recent Facebook post that I had. Let me go to the right scene. That's not it. Here we are. Yeah, so I had this post on Facebook, and let's review it. A1 is dribbling in the backcourt under pressure. As the officials' count reaches 9, A1 throws overhand towards A2 near Team A's basket. While the ball is in flight, the officials' count reaches 10, and they sound their whistle for a 10-second violation. After the whistle sounds, the ball goes in the basket. What happens next? Right? So we have a situation where there's a 10-second count in the backcourt. The ball is thrown from the backcourt towards a player near the basket. Ball goes in the basket, but while the ball is in flight, the official blows a whistle for a 10-second violation. What happens next? So, some basics on the play. Some basics on the play. One, first of which is, in order to, a team is required to, there's a 10-second count in high school basketball, and the requirement is for the team with team control for the ball to gain front court status before the count of 10 is reached. So in this situation, under pressure in the backcourt, count reaches 9, ball is released, and the ball is in flight over the front court, past the division line, but has the ball gained front court status? No. By rule, this team has violated the 10-second violation rule, right? And we know that. Now, earlier in a previous discussion, we had talked about situations where a ball is thrown from behind the three-point line and goes in the that's obvious alley-oop, not a try for goal, but it goes in the basket, and that is to be counted as 3 points. Even though the rules language regarding it says this is not a try for goal, but it counts for 3 points. So in this situation where we have A1 dribbling in the backcourt, throws the ball towards a teammate, the ball is in flight, the official's count reaches 10, the official puts a whistle on the play, and after the whistle sounds, the ball goes in the basket, right? Since it was not a try for goal, I think this is the correct adjudication on this play. And it shows that sort of the gaps that exist in the rules about a ball that goes in the basket in this situation, right? If we think through that situation we described earlier where the team has the ball in the front court, player throws from behind the three-point line a ball that's towards a player for a possible dunk, and the ball goes in the basket. That's to be counted as 3 points, even though it wasn't a try. What if we had an inadvertent whistle in that situation? Would we still count the goal, or since that was not a try, the whistle causes the ball to become dead? So it's a situation that we have gaps in the rules. And Mike Connor is very familiar with this play. Oh, Mike Goodwin's in the house, or he's on the house. I don't know what you got going on up there, Mike. Violation, okay. Judgment, right? So if it was a last second try for goal, let's say same scenario. Let's say same scenario. Let's say there's 11 seconds left in the game when the team inbounds the ball. They still face the backcourt pressure. The clock is winding down. The official's count gets to 9. The player in the backcourt realizes their only opportunity is to launch a try for goal before the clock expires. In that situation, right, where it is a try for goal, then what do we have, right? It's an interesting little break in the rules, because in that situation, even though we have the count has reached 10, it is a try for goal. There is no longer team control in that situation. Would we have a violation in that situation? So it's an intriguing thing, and what it really points out is, like Billy Mack has expressed, is there's gaps in the rules. I like to say, sometimes you're watching YouTube or Instagram or something like that, and there's like home hacks, right? And they show somebody who's trying to fit a piece of flooring into an odd-shaped corner, right? And they put the original piece of flooring down, and there's a gap, right? I think what we have with these try for goal situations, when it may or may not be a try, we have a gap in the rules. NFHS has tried to fill it in. And it's a little bit clumsy, and then we end up with still having some gaps in the rules. Mike Connor's ball does not necessarily have to touch the front court for it to gain front court status. Well, how would a ball from thrown from the backcourt gain front court status? It could touch the floor. It could touch a player. It could touch an official who is standing in the front court, or it could touch the backboard or basket. In order to gain front court status, Les has backcourt violation. What would you have if it was an obvious try for goal, Les? Les has the front court status. Good morning, Phil. Dr. Phil is in the house. On the try, Billy Mack has try for goal ending the status. Thomas is in the house. I don't know what to make of that. So it was an interesting scenario, and certainly one that's going to, the dynamics of the situation where the official blows their whistle. First of all, anytime the ball is thrown from the backcourt and it goes in the basket, the gym goes crazy, right? That's a super exciting time of the game. Okay. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to say, in the end, I think we have to rule this a violation, a 10-second violation by rule, even though the ball goes in the basket, because it was not a try, right? If it's a try, that's something different. If it's not a try, the whistle causes the ball to become dead. Interesting scenario. Let me get this. And we'll talk about another scenario that we came across, or that I posted on Facebook. With under 5 seconds remaining in the period, A1 is dribbling in the front court near the division line, closely guarded by B1. The ball strikes a foot and caroms into the back court. A1 pursues the ball, and knowing that time is about to expire, in one motion, catches and heaves it towards his basket in a desperation attempt. Just after the release, though, the trail official blows their whistle, ruling a backcourt violation, and the clock stops with 0.4 remaining. The ball then goes in the basket. The center official quickly goes to the trail with information that it was definitely B1's foot the ball caromed off of, causing the ball to go into the back court. Merciful heavens, what happens next? Whoops. What happens next? Okay, this is a great scenario, and one that reflects on the previous play. Right? So clock is winding down. Player in the front court, closely pressured by the defense. Let's say the ball dribbles away from the trail, right? The ball clearly caroms into the backcourt off of a foot in the front court. The trail official thinks it is the ball handler's foot, so that they were the last to touch. We have team control in the front court. They were last to touch in the front court. And then when they go back and make the desperation attempt all in one motion, they have been the first to touch in the backcourt. And the official, after the ball is in flight, rules a 10-second violation. No, rules a backcourt violation. The ball goes in the basket. The trail official says no shot violation, point, and then the center official comes in with information. Hey, partner, that was definitely off of B1's foot. B1 was the last to touch in the front court and caused the ball to go into the backcourt. That should not be a backcourt violation. What do we do, right? So it's a great scenario to describe, again, this was a try for goal by this player. The ball was in flight. The official blew a whistle for a backcourt violation, and the ball goes in the basket, right? So what do we have in this situation? It's a little bit different because in the previous situation, it was not a try for goal, and the whistle causes the ball to become dead. In this situation, we have a ruling of violation that is ultimately going to be changed. So first of all, right, the basics here. The trail official erroneously ruled this a backcourt violation, right? With the information from the other official, we now know that it was not a violation and that the whistle, therefore, was an inadvertent whistle and the goal should be scored, right? So an intriguing situation, one that would really cause us to take some time. We may have to do some explaining, right? And the other question is, well, what do we do with the clock, right? It stopped at 0.4, but it shouldn't have stopped at 0.4. Do we say it should have expired, etc.? Definitive knowledge about a clock error. I don't believe this is a clock error by rule. So this is a tough one, and one that causes us to put on our thinking caps. I don't know if that's, yeah, Billy Mack. So that's the question, right? The trail official thinks that it is the ball handler's foot and erroneously rules a backcourt violation. Then we come in with information from the center official who saw it clearly that it should not have been a backcourt violation because B1, the defender, caused the ball to go into the backcourt. And that sort of brings us to the edge of our decision-making process. Critton, inadvertent whistle, basket counts, 3 points. I like it. I like it. That's my ruling on the play as well. Okay. So Mike says, trail, this is the trail's call, and the trail must decide whether to accept the information from the center official in this situation. Let's remember that the center official is coming in with, what's the language? That it was definitely B1's foot that the ball caromed off of, right? So the trail official, right, they are in a position of saying, I'm going to accept that information or not. If we have our center coming to us with saying it was definitely B1's foot, right? Now, we may have had a touch on A1 after the fact, right? And the trail could say, yeah, I saw that, but it then, A1 deflected it with their hand before it went into the backcourt, right? We could sort it out that way. But if your center official is coming to you with definitive information, I'd say best practice is we're going to take that information, even if it puts us in a sticky situation here where it's like, everything's much simpler if we just go with the violation. So let's just go with the violation, right? We can certainly adopt that approach. I don't recommend it, right? Let's try to get plays right. If this should not have been a backcourt violation by rule, let's say we instead this was a throw-in. There's 1.3 seconds remaining on the clock. Player, we have a throw-in at the division line, near the division line. The thrower, the teammate of the thrower jumps from the front court, catches the ball in the air, lands in the backcourt, immediately releases a try. The official says no, while the ball is in flight, puts a whistle on the play, and says backcourt violation, right? And our partner comes to us and says, partner, right? That's not a violation. That's the exception to the rule. Player's allowed to do that. We should score that goal, right? In that situation, is our trail official going to accept the information provided by the crew? That if we rule a violation, we are incorrect by rule? So it's similar in that situation, in that we have adjudicated this play incorrectly, and we have information that fixes it. So, Mike, we don't know that the center's information was not correct, right? And we have to evaluate that. But, before we leave the locker room and go out on the court, I'm saying, we do have to trust our crew and trust that we're going to get plays right, and trust that if you are coming to me as the center and said, definitely this happened, I am going to defer to you. Now, again, I saw maybe the carom part was right, but then after the carom, sometimes we can get that on out of bounds situations. Yes, I saw the deflection by the defense, but afterward, the offensive player touched the ball. We could have that. Yeah. Well, Les, the try was in flight. The try was in flight when the whistle blew. So I don't believe that this whistle is going to cause this ball to become dead. Dr. Phil says center official could have given one of these big things with the when the ball deflected off B1, and yes, he could. Randy says trust your partner, all caps. All right, Mike. So if this is the trail's call, then how would you handle the resulting or the situation where we had a throw-in violation and it was an erroneous ruling by the calling official? Unless I'd ask you the same thing. Oh. Okay. Phil says, I did have this situation happen to me. Unfortunately, the trail told me that it's his responsibility and I shouldn't have come to him. It was his decision. Well, that's something that I would say you definitely want to work out in your pregame. If you have a partner who say, don't come to me with any information to get plays right. That's not what I'm about. I'm all about me and looking good. And I don't want to put the game first. I want to put me first. And so don't come to me with information that may make you look bad. That's what you have in that situation, in my mind. If we're there to get plays right, then we are going to say, come to me with information, right? Let's get plays right. That has to be a commitment we have as a crew. And if we don't have that, if you're working with somebody who does not share that point of view, then you have to, work things out. It's tough. Right. So the fact that the whistle comes after, but again, it's one of those situations where it's all in one motion because it's a desperation situation. It wasn't like a delayed whistle. I'm with you, Nate. It is ego. I mean, it's basically the priorities are wrong, right? The if we have a game crew you philosophy, the game is the most important thing. We are going to always defer to what is best for the game. Accurate rulings, what is best for the game, even if that puts the crew or the official in a potentially negative light in the moment. We're going to work our way through that, but the game comes first. And if we also defer to the crew is more important than me, right, on the court, then we have our priorities in order in my mind. So game crew you philosophy. Thomas, so what would we do if the trail called traveling and the C comes in and says it not? Do we change the call and allow the field goal? Right? So traveling would be a judgment call in that situation, right? Whether the player carried, etc. That's something different. In this situation, we are correct. We are getting a rule wrong by rule. This was not a backcourt violation by rule. The ball went to the backcourt last touched by the defender. This is an erroneous ruling by rule, right? So that's how I'd say that's different. The violation, not the whistle, makes the ball dead here, even if the violation is overturned. Okay. I don't think that's the case. Again, if we have a ruling for a violation when the ball is in flight, does the ball become dead? Right? I haven't seen much feedback on that play, on that throw-in play. How would that be different? Throw-in play, player catches the ball in the air, lands in the backcourt, immediately releases a try, then the official puts a whistle on the play. That is true, Billy. That is true. That is true. All right. I'm going to move on. It's an interesting play scenario, one that causes us to thrash about our understanding of the rules. It's, you know, we're in the small cracks, right? So for brand new basketball officials, we use the 80-20 principle. There's 20% of the rules will provide you 80% of the rules understanding that you need when you go on the court. What are the things that happen over and over again? Guarding, defensive position, legal guarding position, what's legal, what's illegal. We're making rulings about guarding all day long. Violations, traveling, illegal dribble by ball handler dribblers, etc. Right? These are the things, inbounds, throw-in plays, free throw plays. These are the things that make up the great majority of the game. As rules experts, as we sort of like confront the edges of the rules, the things that happen, how often is this play going to happen? It's never going to happen. It's going to happen 1 in a million, 1 in 1,000, 1 in 10,000 games that you do. We're exploring sort of the edges of the rules, right? Because we're fascinated by the rules and how we would adjudicate plays. But if we're a brand new basketball official, we're focusing on the meat and potatoes, right? But as we will see in a subsequent play scenario, let's go here. Give me just a second. All right, so Ron Smith on Facebook posted a play, and let's take a look at that. So Team A has the ball in their front court with about 15 seconds left in the fourth period. Score is A down 1. Team A passes the ball around, makes an unsuccessful shot attempt, obtains the rebound, and then A1 loses control of the ball out of bounds on the end line opposite the table with 7 seconds left on the clock. Team B calls a timeout to set things up. Partner and I meet to discuss the game situation and verify timeouts remaining for both teams. Play will start with a designated spot throw-in on the Team A end line nearest the point where it went out of bounds. Team B has 4 players line up in various spots out of bounds along the end line and 1 player on the court. Whoops. Partner administers the ball to a player for the throw-in. Ron says he's caught off guard by the Team B players out of bounds for the throw-in, but I remember a play from a game that I was watching a few years ago that was similar, so I allow the play to continue. The player with the ball for the throw-in fakes a pass to one of his teammates next to him out of bounds, but then passes to the only player inbounds who had slanted across the free throw lane and was wide open to, basically caught the pass very quickly, dribbled into their front court, avoiding the take foul. And the opponent, he dumped a quick pass to a teammate. Time ran out, and the game ended in their favor. The opposing coach didn't recognize anything wrong either. Both teams lined up and shook hands, and we left the court. Right? So it's a great scenario for a number of reasons, right? So the first of which is, let's go here. We have a situation where the ball goes out of bounds, 7 seconds remaining in a 1-point game, and we get together as a crew. What are we talking about at that point? We have a 1-point game. right? We want to know how many timeouts remain for both teams. We want to know if the team fouls are correct. We want to know if the scoreboard is correct. And this may be, if we haven't already done so, we go to the table and say, home book, visiting book, everything, everybody's good, because when this buzzer sounds, I'm going to look at my scorekeeper and I say, all good, and we're out the door. So we want to verify everything is correct. We also want to think about what is the strategy that's going to be employed here, right? Team A needs to take a foul to stop the clock and get bonus free throws awarded so they can get the ball back. That's their only opportunity. They may go for a steal, then foul, but intentional fouling, quote unquote, fouling in this situation is expected and is legal. It is a recognized tactic as part of the game. We will obviously want the players to execute that properly, no shoves in the back, etc. Right? So the crew is getting together and communicating. That's fantastic. That's absolutely what we want to do. So we see the crew has their head in the right place. The team comes out, and the coach had obviously seen some video of some play somewhere, and he drew up this exotic play to release, to free up a player without defense so that they could exhaust the clock, and that's what they do, right? And that catches the crew off guard. There's like a little voice, a little on the shoulder, right here, right? There's a little, wait a minute, right? That voice is there, but it's not jumping up and down and saying, no, stop this game. It's like, I'm not sure, right? And the game wants to move forward. So the crew administers the ball, everything runs out, etc. Now, obviously, this is incorrectly ruled, right? And so Ron goes onto Facebook and he says, this is a situation that happened to me, and I realized after the fact, and we go to the locker room and we sort things out, and I realized we made a mistake, right? Which just further emphasizes the fact that as officials, we go out onto the court and we carry our rules knowledge with us. We adjudicate plays with the understanding that we have. This is the understanding we have. And there are many things that can occur in the game where we say, oh, wow, I'm not sure, etc. But it doesn't rise to the level of, I know that is illegal, right? And so it's just a natural circumstance. And for new officials who are being exposed to the game and recognizing new things all the time. I've never seen that before. I've never seen that before. I've never seen that before, right? We're going to have that little voice there on the shoulder that's saying, I'm not sure, right? But our best reaction in that situation when we're not sure, it's legal. It's legal until I know it's not. Now, when we have a crew, if we have 2 or we have 3 on the crew, we would hope that the crew collectively, when something is illegal in this situation, can recognize it, and we can get the play right. The other thing it points out is there was no energy. When Team B was inbounding the ball, there was no energy from that's going to help reinforce our decision about whether to put a whistle or to stop play or to get things, because the coach isn't jumping up and down. We have to recognize that we often get signals from stakeholders in the game, right? We put something funny happens with a ball handler dribble, or we expect the bench to jump up, dribbling, right? We expect that kind of reaction, fan reaction, etc. So we respond to those social signals. Usually we're in a business of saying, that's a legal play, coach. But sometimes in the absence of those, right, if the coach had jumped up and down for the other team, maybe we'd be more willing to step in and stop. One thing I would advise in this situation is listen to that voice, right? The voice is saying, I'm not sure. The voice here is saying, I'm not sure, but we can always slow things down, right? We could just, slow things down, like say, move somebody in the stands back a couple of feet or something, like we're trying to make the, keep the game safer or something. We have techniques that we have where we can slow things down and respond. But in the end, we don't know this is illegal. We remember seeing a play similar. We inbound the ball, the game runs out, etc. We go to the locker room and we do the correct process. This funny thing happened in my game, and we looked it up and we got it wrong. Now we know. Now we know. We're going to take that knowledge. We are never going to make that mistake again. Those kind of mistakes are the ones that stick with you, and you become very expert about them. Oh boy, what a rant. All right. Where on the opposite side of the globe are we, Crichton? Mike, I'm with you. The official's whistle seldom causes the ball to become dead. It is already dead. Yeah, that's different. NCAA women, that's different. So on this play, Billy Mack has illegal. And Mike Connors has a ultimate question, or a question that arose in this situation, is what is the correct procedure? Do we allow that player, the team to be established out of bounds? And do we make the ball live for the thrower with those players out of bounds, causing an immediate violation if we recognize that? Or do we fix the situation in advance? I would say with restarts, we are always using preventative officiating in restart situations, right? If we have free throws and players are not aligned properly, we're not going to say, "Oh, I see you I'm going to make the ball live, and then I'm going to call a violation on you," right? That's not what we do. We fix, right? If players are misaligned, we try to get things right. We warn hey, stand back, don't cross, etc., before we make the ball live. That is, I would say, one of the responsibilities of the officials. Now, in this situation where a team is trying to be deceptive, I guess you could raise the question, no, this is what we want to do, right? So that's an interesting question. Obviously, Zooch, only one player once the ball is live, only one player for that team may be out of bounds, right? So obviously this coach had seen a play after a made basket, and after a made basket, this would be perfectly legal. Made basket, timeout, team comes out, and that would be something that we want to explore as a crew. Hey, let's be aware of now this situation, 7 seconds left, and they're up by a point. I wouldn't expect real shenanigans here from that team. But if this team was down by a point and let's say there was 1.2 seconds remaining, then we may expect this team is going to try, let's be aware, let's be ready for anything. They may try the screener, the player gets the ball out of bounds, and this would have to be after a made basket. They may try something. We want to be aware of those things going into that timeout. Again, in that timeout situation, we want to talk about strategy and what we expect. In this situation, I'd say we expect take foul, right? By the defense, let's make sure they're legal. Maybe when we bring the team out of the huddle, hey, coach, what are we doing, right? Yeah, we're going to steal and foul. All right, so make sure that the foul attempt is making a play on the ball, etc. We can do those kind of things, those conversations. But we don't want to be surprised by tactics. Sometimes we will, but we want to try to think through as much. Now, we may have a situation where the team comes out, we make the ball live, and the offensive team calls a timeout because the defense was different, right? So we always expect teams come out of the huddle, right? The ball's about to be made live. One of the coaches calls a timeout. We need to be aware of that. We don't want to miss that. Gray area between coaching and advising? Yes, no, maybe so. Uh-oh. I don't know what you guys are referring to. Interesting. Interesting. He did ultimately pass the ball to a teammate out of bounds. There you go. Thanks, Zooch. No teammate of the thrower shall be out of bounds for a designated spot throw-in when it begins. After a designated spot throw-in begins, when does the throw-in begin? The throw-in begins when the ball is made live. That would be when the ball is at the disposal of the thrower. In this instance, it is when the player caught the ball after being bounced or handed the ball by the official. Right? Straightforward. Okay. So I thank Ron for posting that, giving us something to talk about. But now we are going to move on, and we're going to look at some rules scenarios. We're moving on. Yes, we're moving on. Right on. No, 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 no. Let's take a look at our first rules question. A1 begins his dribble outside his three-point arc. Dribbling towards his basket, he touches the ball with both hands while his right foot is touching the floor inside his three-point arc. To create some space between himself and the defender, he jumps back off that right foot and lands on both feet simultaneously outside the three-point line. A1 then jumps off of both feet and releases a try that is successful. A, this player has traveled when after ending his dribble, he lifted his right foot, which was his established pivot foot. B, this is traveling violation because the player established his right foot as his pivot foot, lifted it from the floor, then placed it back on the floor again. That sounds legit. C, this is legal, and the successful three-point signal should be given by the official from whose PCA the player attempted the shot for goal. Or D, this should not be ruled a traveling violation, but A1 should only be awarded 2 points due to when the act of shooting originated. Okay, so this is one of those rules questions or test questions that has a lot of words. We got to have some comprehension here. It's a lot of pressure on me, man. But this is a situation where we have a ball handler dribbler. They terminate their dribble with 1 foot on the floor. They jump off of that foot and land on 2 feet, then go up and release the try. Jump off 1, land on 2, release the try. Is that legal footwork by rule? That's the question on this play. And then the other question is, well, wait a minute. Okay, so if it is legal, then should it count as 2 points where the player started their habitual throwing motion, or where they ultimately left the floor? That's our question on this play. And of course, the correct answer here is C. This is legal and a successful three-point goal. The signal, first, the shot should be marked by the official from whose PCA the player attempted the try for goal, because this is a three-point try by rule. The player ultimately left the floor from this position. This is a situation that is often gotten wrong, and with point of emphasis this year being traveling, this is one that can catch officials off guard because they see the player, well, they had their left foot pivot foot, and then that pivot foot came back to the floor. And I know if the pivot foot returns, right? But the little exception within the traveling rule is a player is allowed to jump off of 1 foot holding the ball and land on 2 feet simultaneously. Now, many players, when they do a step back move like this, leave off of 1 foot land on one foot, then the other foot, right? And it is not simultaneously. Now, while we may offer some room for error when a player, lands, their feet land very closely, and we rule that to be simultaneously, most players, when they try to execute the James Harden step back, land with one foot, then land with the other foot in this situation. So our correct adjudication on this play is C. This is legal, and the successful three-point signal should be given by the official from whose PCA the player attempted the shot for goal. Ay, ay, ay. There's too many words. Too many words. This is a legal footwork, legal jump stop, legal. Everybody's legal. We've had this play many times. Confirmation in the form of a test question. Mike Connors. The trend is not to nitpick simultaneous landing of both feet. Should we nitpick here? I would say, for me, I would say it depends on the level of the game, right? If you see, pee-wee players, fifth graders attempting a step back, right? They are in the process of learning how to do these things. Again, is it an obvious violation? Then it's a violation. Is it not quite obvious, right? Is there a fudge error? We've used the Olympic judges, right? The player or the gymnast got a 9.9 on the vault because their feet were slightly separated on mid-flight or something like that. But a nearly flawless execution. But at that level, they are definitely picking nits. Are we picking nits when we officiate players? But, okay, let's say we are picking nits. Great. Let's pick nits at both ends of the floor, right? We have to be consistent as a crew. Maybe those plays were allowed by the previous crew the night before, but tonight, right, this crew is saying we are picking nits. A player has to execute that step back move to a T, and we're not accepting anything less than that. Or we are being liberal and saying simultaneous is, does not have to be literally simultaneous, which I think would be impossible by the rules of physics anyway. Yes, Nate, that is our takeaway on this play. This step back move, or, you see shooters. We see shooters being trained to three-point shooters to do a rhythm action where they are in the process of, they catch the ball leaving off of 1 foot, landing on 2 foot, release the try. It's a technique of building in a timing mechanism for shooters, right? So not just a situation where I'm trying to create space by doing a step back, just I'm wide open in the corner and I utilize this footwork. Now that player is not allowed to jump off of 2 feet, catch the ball, or catch the ball with 2 feet and then land with 2 feet. That's illegal. But we see it as a timing mechanism all the time. And if we look for it, we can see it in our game, this kind of subtle execution by three-point shooters. So to answer your question, the step back is legal as long as both feet land simultaneously. And like Billy Mack pointed out previously, this is the new NCAA interpretation here is don't pick nits. If it's close, it's legal. That's the interpretation. And you might say, well, as a crew, that's how we want to adjudicate these plays as well. If it's close, it's legal. If it's obvious, not close, then it's illegal, right? And it's a great approach to take into the game. But again, the bottom line is we need consistency tonight. It'd be great to have consistency with an association that every single game this team does is adjudicated the same way. Either it's not picking nits or it's super stringent, right? And that's consistent and everybody knows how to adapt to that. It would be great if all high school officials adjudicated the play the same way in the state. It would be great if all the high school officials adjudicated the play the same way across the country. But none of these things are going to happen. In the end, it's all about what are we doing tonight. We want to be right, but the teams and players can adapt tonight if we're consistent. Oh, Mike, that is not the case. That is not the case. Gary jumping in. Legal. Good to see you, Gary. And of course, you're right. You're right. Yeah, benefit of a doubt, right? And of course, this kind of thing, NFHS says, no benefit of the doubt, right? We have to put whistles on these plays. I mean, the spin move is a great example of, it's always done with athleticism and grace. It's an exciting part of the game. It's almost like, why do we have to penalize that? But of course, spin moves are almost always illegal by rule. So that's why. Oh, absolutely. I don't think NFHS is saying, be liberal in your understanding of simultaneous. It would be just the opposite, right? When it's a point of emphasis, jump stops, spin moves, Euro steps, etc. It's just the opposite. No. It's like, have a better understanding of, Well, Nate, it is something, we may want to use that with coaches, but it is definitely something to pregame, right? So we're doing a high school game this year. All right, let's talk about points of emphasis, traveling, Euro steps, spin moves, jump stops. What are we going to do, right? How are we going to handle it tonight? Let's just get on the same page. Here's my thinking, that if it's close, right, you may say this in your pregame. If it's close, right, let's go for the super obvious traveling violation. Let's put a whistle on it. Subtle, that pivot foot moved half an inch, 2 inches, 4 inches, right? That pivot foot was dragged 2 feet. Okay, yeah, let's put a whistle on that one. But you just want to be like-minded as a crew. Okay, let's look at another rules question. A1 is located in the backcourt and passes the ball towards the front court. B1, located in the front court, taps the ball back towards the backcourt. A1 jumps from the backcourt, catches the ball before it hits the backcourt, then lands in the front court. The officials rule a backcourt violation. A, correct? B, incorrect. Now that's what I'm talking about. That's the kind of question we want. There's not a lot of words. Is this the correct ruling on the play? So what do we need? We need 3 elements always to have a backcourt violation. Team control on the court, last to touch in the front court, first to touch in the backcourt. If those 3 conditions are met, we have a backcourt violation by rule. In this situation, A1 is located in the backcourt. We have team control on the court, passes the ball toward the front court. B1 located in the front court taps the ball backwards. So B1 is a player on the defense. B1 is located in the front court. So when B1 contacts the basketball, the ball has gained front court status. Okay? A1 bats the ball back. A1 jumps from his backcourt, catches the ball before it hits the backcourt, then lands in the front court. The officials rule a backcourt violation. Okay, this is more of a puzzler than we thought. Okay, so we have to understand status. The ball has backcourt status. The ball has front court status. The ball then has backcourt status. Do we have a violation by rule? In this instance, the correct answer is no. No, we do not. This is not a backcourt violation by rule. While the ball gained front court status, the opponent was the last to touch the ball in the front court. So, in order to have a situation where we have a backcourt violation, we have to have all three things. Did the team in control of the ball, were they the last to touch in the front court? No, they were not. This also brings up the rules exception, or the rules interpretation from 2007, which would have made this a violation. It existed for about 10, 12 years, and then they finally corrected it and said, no, this would not be a violation. So this one could catch you off guard, and this is going to take some processing time in real time, baby. That is a straight up fact. Oh. Yes, legal. Legal. Excellent. Now legal, the infamous bad interpretation. That was a real puzzler. Okay. All right, let's move on to our next rules question. A1 is dribbling in her backcourt when she stops her dribble and throws the ball into her front court, where it hits an official who is inbounds and rebounds high into the air. A1 hustles into her front court, where she is the first to touch the ball before it hits the floor. The official should A, allow the play to continue as nothing illegal has happened, B, rule a backcourt violation since A1 was the last to touch, first to touch, C, assess a dribble violation on A1, or D, award an alternating possession throw-in since the official inadvertently interfered with the play. Well, that's a fine how do you do. So A1 dribbling in her backcourt. She stops, terminates her dribble, throws the ball into the front court where it hits an official who is inbounds, and the ball rebounds high into the air. Sorry, ref. Right? She runs into the front court and catches the basketball. Is this legal by rule? Oh, merciful heavens. More processing. Well, first of all, award an alternating, let's look at D. Award an alternating possession throw-in since the official inadvertently interfered with the play. The official is part of play when they are on the court. If this ball had contacted the official out of bounds, the ball would be out of bounds by rule. If the official is on the court, they are part of play. When the ball hits an official and rebound, let's hope it hit him on the shoulder, right? And rebounds high into the air, not off the dome. Has something illegal happened on this play? Is this a backcourt violation, right? The ball was in the backcourt. The ball gained front court status when it hit the official. And then the player runs into the front court, I assume, into her front court, so she has established front court status and catches the ball. So this would not be a backcourt violation by rule. So the question is this a legal dribble, or do we allow play to continue, right? Player was dribbling in the backcourt and terminated her dribble. She then passed the ball to the front court. Let's imagine that the official, by rule, is just basically part of the court. Let's say she had thrown the ball ahead with some backspin, right, to a spot on the court where there were no defenders, and then she ran to that spot and collected the ball. Is that legal? No, it's not. Once the player has terminated the dribble and released the pass, they cannot then be the first to touch that pass. That would be an illegal dribble by rule. Our correct ruling here is C, assess a dribble violation. This would be an illegal dribble violation on A1. Oh, man. Good morning, Darwin Sonata from Michigan. You're joined by another Michigan. Oh my gosh, my memory's terrible. Sorry. Oh, okay. Let me come back to that, Thomas. Oh, I'm going to put a favorite on that. I'll come back to that. Got a lot of no violation. Yeah, this is a subtle one. You know, whenever a rules question like this, like if we did a word count on this, it's probably 100 and maybe 75 words. On a test question, sometimes we can get waylaid by, oh, I think it's going in the backcourt, whether this is a backcourt question, and we can miss something that's potentially super obvious. When I first viewed this question, I was not thinking illegal dribble. And again, this would be something that would, if we did come up with an illegal dribble violation, it may take some processing time on this one for sure. Especially if the official who was hit put the ruling on the play. But this is an illegal dribble by rule. The player in the backcourt has terminated their dribble. The official, even though, right, we think like if it touched another player, then that player could touch it, but the official is not a player and has the status of simply the floor or the backboard, right? We'd all be very familiar. Players in the backcourt dribbling the basketball, throws the ball towards their opponent's basket because they're confused. It hits the backboard, goes to the other side, and they are the first to recover, right? That's an illegal dribble by rule because they had terminated their dribble, essentially thrown the ball off of the floor and then been the first to touch. Illegal dribble by rule. Yeah, but when you think it through, so imagine this play occurs in your game. Again, there sometimes plays, right? So we go through how many games and this occurs, right? Well, I've officiated, I did my first 3 seasons and I did about 75 games a season, and this never happened in any of my games. Come on, this is not a thing that happens. So when it does happen in your game, it's fully understandable that it's going to take some processing time, right? To get a play. Billy Mack, trick question, right? And test questions can sometimes be that way, right? They're designed to sort of be a little bit of a gotcha, right? But again, we always like to emphasize in terms of meat and potatoes for new officials, the basics are going to be where we are successful. And when things happen in the obscure corners, so this play, let's say this play happens in your game. You're a new official. It happens in your game. You said, oh my gosh, that is extremely funny. I'm processing whether that was a backcourt violation, right? The ball hit me. I was embarrassed. I didn't put a whistle on the play. What's the process? I start my game. I adjudicate. When something's illegal that I know is illegal, I put a whistle on the play. Straightforward, right? If my partner has something and comes in and says, hey, I have a violation on the play, that's great. But if we don't have anything on the play, I'm going to put that play into my memory bank and I'm going to say, after this game, I'm going to go look this up. Something funny happened in my game. My reaction was to not put a whistle on the play, even though there may have been some energy on the bench or what have you, because I did not know that it rose to the level of illegal. That's my fundamental process and principle. If I do that, I'm going to be successful. Now, a play occurred in my game and I got it wrong. This should have been a violation. I did not know that. I go back, I look into the rules book. Oh my gosh, I never even considered double dribble or illegal dribble on this play. Wow, okay, now I know. Now I know, right? And I move forward. and I go to my next game and I'm going to do the exact same thing. But now my knowledge bank has been enhanced just a little bit, and I know one more thing that's potentially illegal. But if we go in and say, look, I see stuff happening, I know that's unusual, I've never seen that before, but I'm waiting for that illegal, that I know it's illegal, and then I'll put a whistle on the play. I'm going to repeat that cycle. I had 3 things in my game today that happened that I didn't know, I want clarification on. I had some uncertainty, right? I didn't want to put a whistle on it because I didn't know, but I had some uncertainty. So I go and look at those 3 things. Maybe I go to a Facebook group. Maybe I go to the obviously go to the rules book, case book. If we have an answer, we don't. Maybe we can get some feedback from others in a Facebook group or a cohort of other young officials that you may be communicating with, or a mentor, or a rules interpreter for your association. All of these things. I get the knowledge. Now I'm better prepared. I go back out and I just do the same thing. Call what I know is illegal. Don't put a whistle on things that I don't know are illegal. And it's a great successful formula for new officials. And they just get better and better rules knowledge from the things that happen in their game. So I definitely encourage young officials to take that approach and go. Get better. I'd say less when only occurs when they touch the ball. I don't think they have to hold it if they batted it or touched it. Okay, so Thomas had a question. Thomas has A1 is dribbling in the backcourt, passes the ball to A2, who has jumped from the backcourt, catches the ball in the air, and lands in the front court. Okay, A1, team control on the court, dribbling in the backcourt, passes the ball to A2, who has backcourt status, catches the ball, lands in the front court, right? In order for us to have a backcourt violation, we have to have team control on the court, last to touch in the front court, first to touch after the ball has been in the backcourt. We don't have that on this situation, right? If we see this play, we're thinking because, they caught the ball in the air, moving from backcourt to front court or front court to backcourt, we need to make a decision, right? But this is a legal play by rule. Nothing there. Nothing there. Okay, awesome. Let's go here. I'm going to bang out 2 more rules questions. Let's look at another rules question. Team A is in the bonus. A1 is in the act of shooting, but has not released the ball. B2 pushes A2, who is setting a legal screen for A1. The official calls a foul on B2 just before A1 releases the ball for a try, and the ball goes into the goal. A, score the basket, count the goal. Team A gets a throw in nearest the spot of the foul. B, count the goal and award bonus free throws to A2. C, disallow the goal and award bonus free throws to A2. Or D, count the goal and award a free throw to A2. This is a continuous motion question. Continuous motion, definition for which is Rule 4-11. Ask Jason Hayes. He knows. And continuous motion suggests that a player who's begun their habitual try for goal will be allowed to complete that activity, and the result of that activity will count if there is a foul by any defensive player. Okay? Our shooter in this situation was not fouled, but since there was a defensive foul after they had begun their habitual shooting motion, is that how we have it? Act of shooting, but has not yet released the ball, right? Continuous motion allows us to complete that activity, and the results of that activity will count. So in this situation, we are going to count the goal. Now we have to adjudicate the foul, right? Team A is in the bonus. A Team A player was fouled. So we are going to resume. We need to penalize that foul with and award the bonus free throws. So we are going to score the goal, and we are going to award those bonus free throws with players in marked lane spaces and move forward. So our correct answer on this play is B. Count the goal and award bonus free throws to A2. Right? Continuous motion. All right, I'll come back to that previous question in just a second. So Thomas, regarding that one play, right? Processing, right? Give ourselves, like if we're processing on a play, give yourself a count or two, right? It'll seem like an eternity, but we want to get plays right. I'm with you. B, yeah. Jason Hayes, noted continuous motion expert, says defensive foul. Right, so if a teammate had fouled, if just the opposite, if this was an illegal screen by teammate A2 while the player was shooting, but before they had released the try, if we have a foul by a teammate, the ball becomes dead by rule. So the try is released after the ball has become dead. If the player released the try and then we have a foul, right, by a teammate, that would be a foul. The ball has not become dead, and we would count the result of the try, and then we would adjudicate the foul, right? Since there was no team control after the release, all of the things, if Team B was in the bonus, they would get bonus free throws. Awesome. So, all right, I'm going to move on. I'm going to do one final question here. I hope it's a good one. 8:30, yeah, I got to hit the road. Let's do it. Let's take a look at another rules question. One more, and we'll get out of here. The referee is ready to toss the ball to start the game. As the official is tossing the ball, B1, who is not on the center circle, moves to a different position on the court. This is legal since B1 did not enter the restraining circle. A, that's correct. B, that's incorrect. Oh, fantastic. Oh. Whoops. Right. So, as we've outlined previously in our full coverage of jump ball rules and restrictions, link above, we talk about rules of restrictions. So we have jumpers, we have players on the restraining circle, and then we have players who are not on the restraining circle. What are the activities that are allowed and not allowed? In this situation, we have players who are not on the restraining circle. A player who is not on the restraining circle moves to a different position on the court. There is no restriction on the movement of those players or the position of those players who are not on the center restraining circle. It's a myth that many officials hold on to, that those two players who are 15 feet off the circle have to stand side by side. They can't have an overlap. There's a restriction of some sort on them. There is no restriction on the location or the movement of those players, except a player who is not on the restraining circle may not move onto the restraining circle as in this instance. So our correct answer by rule is A. The officials are correct. This is legal since B1 did not enter the restraining circle. I'd say move on to the restraining circle. Wait a minute. Let me go back. This is legal since B1 did not enter the restraining circle. Now, let me laugh. 34 watching, more than murder, she wrote. Oh. Yeah, so it's a habit. It's a habit that I don't know if the rules came from far off times before I started officiating where there were additional restrictions on players. Jump balls, of course, happen super infrequently. They happen on average 1.05 times per game. Officials don't necessarily know all the rules and restrictions. And they were just taught by veteran official A that, well, what I do is before I say, hey, nobody move, right? And it works for me, right? But understanding rules and restrictions is a better approach. As we know. Critton, I never got where you are in the world. I apologize if I missed it. Here, let's see if I go. No, I want to search for Critton. No, it doesn't work. I can't search for a user. So if you had a previous comment, I apologize. I have missed it. But I imagine you're doing FIBA rules, and of course we're focusing here on National Federation of High School Basketball rules. But Thailand, excellent. Yeah, but who are you talking to, right? When we administer a free throw, right, we could say as the lead, hey, on the release, right? And we're talking to the players in the marked lane spaces, but the thrower hears you, and the players who are standing behind the thrower hear you, right? So the struggle is real. Okay. I'm going to give me just a second. I'm developing my skills. Wow. All right. Let me do this. Hey, thanks for joining us today on Basketball Rules Expert. If this is the content that you find valuable, now would be a great time to do all the things. Hit like, subscribe, notify so you don't miss out on any of our new content. We live stream every Wednesday and Friday. Join us for the live stream. Right. Yeah, do those things. Allow me to thank our fantastic show supporters, Les O'Connor Jr., Tony Dye, Amílcar Garcia, Gerald Masucci, and Phil Haddad. Much appreciated and much love. Hold on. I've become lost. Much appreciated and much love. You want to support the show? You can always head to abetterofficial.com/coffee. There will be a link above and in the show notes below. All right, fantastic. Additional video content is available for you here. Make your choice, choose wisely, and we'll see you in the very next video. Take care. Oh, thank you, Thomas. Oh, man. Thanks, Gary. Thanks, Gary. All right. I'm going to get us out of here. I'm going to go to the favorite screen of everybody and go here because I got plenty of work to do today. Hope everybody's, we're doing all the things. We're on the verge. Scrimmages, games. Maybe you've done some already, or it's on the verge. Getting back out on the basketball court. Hopefully, health and safety restrictions aren't too impactful, and we can have some really successful high school basketball season. See you in the very next live stream, everybody. Take care.